Hey everybody, Elizabeth here. I'm sure this information is not new for any people, but I do want to go over because I don't think a lot of people really understand some things that are working, I guess I would say, within the system or how things kind of operate. We have to start looking at the system, as I did a few videos ago when Jesse has spoken about how the system operates through 5 pillars. And the reason why these 5 pillars are there is because if one pillar falls or fails, the other 4 can continue to operate to keep the system running and going. We have an attack on these bloodlines. These bloodline families are in a big cahoots on top of the Abrahamic religions are in cahoots. Now, a lot of people, especially if you've been more in the spiritual new age woo-woo side, you don't really have a foundational understanding of religion. You know, I was kind of a part of that because I was never really raised. We were more like Christmas and Easter attendees, but I will say that the Abrahamic religions are once again at war and battle, and it's getting a little more intense to usher us toward another third world war. And if you've seen any of those videos of the words and descriptions from Albert Pike floating through the internet, you probably have seen how the Masonic realm is operating to their best of ability to create this warmongering lifestyle that is ruining the lives of citizens around the world. So from my understanding, your Abrahamic religions are Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Judaism and Islam are political and faith-based religions. So those 2 things are lumped into one, and Christianity is a faith-based religion. Not so much now, but there was always that separation of church and state. And so Catholicism has definitely been infiltrated with the Khazarian bloodline lineage of people. But I want to get back to where we're going today. So, 2 of the 3 Abrahamic religions, in my opinion, are extremely fucking scary because most of these mega church pastors, Catholic priests, probably in the Mormon church as well, that's another pillar. A lot of these people are practicing Satanists that are covering themselves up through a Christian way of life or a Christian job, such as working at the church or being that priest or that pastor. So we need to start looking at the system like a hierarchy chart that you would have at your current job or at any sort of corporation or business. So that whole evil, demonic, satanic world operates in a very logical structure, the same way things are logically structured on our planet. So before I go into this, I do want to say that I have seen a lot of Christian groups, because of the way that Christianity has been taught, talking about the Jewish people are the chosen ones and we stand with Israel. In America, we have gone through such extreme pendulum swings of going from right to left. Look at our structure politically. Every 8 years, we are changing from a Democratic to a Republican president. A lot of times because we are more mentally brainwashed in this country to go from one end of the spectrum to the other, that's just an easy progression for a lot of people. And right now, it is really, really, really important to keep your wits about you and stand firm in the ground with your beliefs and start to analyze things without getting overly emotional or reacting emotionally to a lot of things. And now, why I'm saying that is because, with all the stuff that has come out with Palestine, everybody is all of a sudden running on over to stand with Israel. what we have to understand is that this is a system that is operating on a global scale, and the citizens of every country, especially places like Israel, which seems like a really unstable place to live, are getting fucked over by the system that is the same garbage bullshit that's in every single religion and country. Look who Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein are. We cannot just say that the Jewish sect has been innocent this entire time when they are the ones that have been causing a ton of atrocities. All the Jewish bankers, they all own all of these tech platforms. They're running all of these platforms, so central bankers have done a lot of damage, in addition to people like the Weinsteins and the Epsteins that are followers of the Talmudic principles and the Sanhedrin. So that is part of the Khazarian lineage that is not being anti one group of people or the other. It's just a rational look at our history and trying to reconnect the dots. We have to start reprogramming ourselves. We have to start deprogramming ourselves from everything that we've learned, laying everything flat on the table and starting to really, really start to understand these things. So saying that these people are bad and then all of a sudden, the leaders in Israel are the good guys, it's kind of like, it's like saying I don't know, it's like saying a child molester is okay, but a goat fucker isn't. So, it's like they're both not good, no bueno right now. And I have to watch what I say and my language because of the internet being awful and horrible, and I'm already holding on a fucking thread with any sort of rebounding that I've done in my career of working in fitness that got destroyed during COVID. And because I live in such a liberal place, it is not easy to express thoughts as well as the truth. However, the point of what I want to talk about is that when you start to understand the system, which this should actually just be a separate video in itself, it's like relearning a language. So the way that the system communicates to one another is through advertisements, it's through news media articles, through the movies, through commercials, through adverts, posts that are put out on social media. So everything from what these people say to the numbers, to the color of the clothing that they wear, the signs, signal directions. I need to do a separate video on that. It is relearning an entire language. It's like walking into a foreign country, like walking into Germany and hearing German. You hear it, but you have no clue what they're saying. Or you walk into India and you hear people speaking Hindi in the local state language. You have no clue what the hell they're saying, but you can hear it. So all of these things, these news articles and such, we've all seen this, but it's not registering to the normal person because we don't know how to read this stuff. So when you have this guy is calling for Friday, October 13th as a day of jihad. This, first of all, any Friday the 13th on top of 13th is a very important number in the Satanic system. So I do recommend going to the Open Scroll if you want to look at the link there. You kind of have the openscroll.com/hosting/satanic calendar, and you can start to educate yourself. If you are a Christian or just a normal human being on this planet, we follow our own calendar with our own holidays, and this satanic structure, which is kind of like a massive global business around the world, they all follow their own holidays. Yes, many Christian holidays have been the replacements of pagan and other holidays. I don't want to go on that rabbit hole, but the intention of what, normal human beings, your normies, the intention is a lot of times, let's just say Easter or Christmas is about like bringing joy into the house, right? It might still have a connection to the satanic rituals of, gifting and consumerism and stuff like that. But, you know, your normal everyday person is not going and doing this deep, dark shit of what these people are. So as I have this video up, you can go through and read a lot of it. You know, you're looking at the different ages of stuff. So once again, you know, this is the children that are affected. If you understand even the basics of just energy, the basics of the transition of seasons, you know, we are entering the season of darkness, where darkness gains more time on this planet than light, and we are also transitioning into the season of quote unquote death, which would be winter. So that's just the natural 4 cycle seasons, which you have. Spring is the rebirth, summer is more about being alive, fall is the transition, and then winter is kind of the death, and that cycle replenishes itself. So when we are looking at the Satanic calendar, we are looking at the preparation for All Hallows Eve and Samhain, which is Halloween. So October the 13th, and especially for this year, because October the 13th will be on a Friday, this is extremely important to really pray, bless, if you want to throw anointing oil around your community. I mean, it sounds really helpless, but I do believe that there is power in our thoughts and in our prayers. So it's the least that we can do, because a lot of people are going to be hurt during this time. And let's see, when did Maui happen? Because all those kids are missing. So I think Maui was, in it around like the 8th of August? It might have been. Let's look this up. Maui, what are we looking at? Maui, fire. Yeah, I guess Maui fire. When did it happen? When did Maui happen? Maui. Did Maui have a fire? On August 8th. All right. Well, there's no specific holiday, but there is, yeah, I guess this kind of happened, started, I think it was like the 8th. I should have typed in when did Maui fire. I think it was the 8th. That's what I remember, because I was like, oh, it's Lionsgate, which maybe there's something there. When did Maui fire start? Yeah, the 8th of August. Okay, anyways, I want to get back to this. So Hallows Eve and Halloween are some of the worst days in pretty much this season is like the worst. I don't even think I need to read it because it grosses me the fuck out. But I mean, we're talking about animal as well as humans. We're not even just talking about, you know, just humans. This was all from, I think, from SRA victims have pulled this out. And also, when we're looking down here just at the notes, you know, it does say that all Friday the 13th are high satanic days. And so the 1st and the 3rd of every month, you put 1 and 3 together, it makes 13. Though ritual and worship can happen at any time. So I would not be surprised if some major stuff happens tomorrow. For example, let's just say there's all these protests that are supposedly happening tomorrow. If some major catastrophe is engineered, and then all of a sudden a bunch of people have to go to a hospital, and then, you know, maybe they're deemed dead at the hospital, but they're really not. They may be taken underground. You know, in the past when I've done these videos of the system, the D-U-M-B, yeah, the system is pretty dumb and stupid, but it's also the underground military bases that have been happening. So I did see this, oops, I'm just gonna go over here. I did see this off of Telegram, that we have a lot of demonstrations that are supposed to happen, and as you can see, they're all predominantly, I mean, pretty much every city in this country is fairly liberal. I would probably say some in like Texas and Oklahoma, maybe in the South, Middle America are not, but for the most part they are. Seattle is on that list. I want to say well, actually I do have to kind of go downtown tomorrow, shit. But anyways, there have been through history, if if I can find it. Oh yeah, there's just been some interesting things that have happened in history on October 13th. And the Chilean minors is really interesting because 33 is a major Masonic number. So, you know, once again, it's like, are we being psychologically messed with or not? You can already see that some war was already declared during this time on October 13th throughout our history of the world, various invasions. So it is getting scary, but the one thing that we can do is if we start to learn and operate and learn the language of how the system works, is that we can start to get ahead of the times. And I do think if you are in an area, even if you're just sitting at home and just asking for the blessings of God, I personally, at this stage of my life, I don't mess around with any other entity or anything. I go directly to God and to Christ when I have any sort of communication to the heavens, or to God. I just go directly there. I don't, you know, in Reiki and all this stuff, we were taught like to channel our spirit guides and stuff, and that it's like I just don't even go there because you don't even know what you're communicating with. So directly to God and Christ, whether you want to bless some water and throw it around. Some people do anointing oil. They anoint the oil and put it on their feet and walk around to their, oh, sorry, that was my, I should probably go. The dog's going crazy because the mailman's here. There are things you can do. So we are not powerless human beings, but hopefully more people aren't going to be this word to get their stock quotas for their preparation for these later days in the month at the end of the year. When you learn about this stuff, it's like Halloween it just turns me the wrong way. Like seeing the decorations of like the RIP gravestones and skeletons in people's yards and vampires. It's like, I mean, Halloween when we were kids in the 90s and before, it was kind of more on the cute side, like a little black kitten sitting on a pumpkin and stuff like that. Sure, there were ghosts, but it was more cute. Now it's like Halloween for a lot of these kids, it's more of like a Netflix show. It's like they have fake blood, window decals on their windows. The kids have more of that serial killer costumes, monster, like it is like a horror novel, and it rubs me the wrong way. I actually don't like this time of year. And so the funniest part about, I mean, I love it like in the sense of like soup and sweater weather, and you know, fall is a beautiful transition time. But in terms of this type of stuff, spiritually, I get really sad now being equipped with this knowledge to understand what's going on. I even hiked the Camino. I think I walked into the Camino on Halloween, and then the next day was the church service on the holy day. So it's like, holy shit, you know. I remember sitting, I can't even remember what city in Spain I was in. I'd have to look back at my photos, but I do remember a city in Spain had the, it was a very old guy, priest, and he was like decrepit. And because I was really sad about, you know, Christianity is pretty much plummeting at this point because of the rise of atheism, there was only like 3 locals there and maybe a few of us Camino walkers that went to a service. And, but above him, in the way back, because you know all these Catholic churches are built lavishly, and you know they have like gold and stuff like that, but there was the all-seeing eye pyramid on the wall at the altar. I'll have to see if I can find the photo, and if I can, I'll just make it the screen, the thumbnail to this video. But I sat there, and I didn't know a whole lot about this stuff in 2018, but I sat there and I was like, fuck man, I bet this church is doing some bad shit. All right, it's the landscapers. I thought it was the mailman. The landscapers are at my apartment, so my dog's gonna go ape shit. I gotta go. All right, say a prayer. Bye-bye.